Douglas Bader, Part I, The Men Who Refused to Fall, England, 1931. The Royal Air Force Base at Cranwell shimmered under the pale morning sun. Airplanes slept on the runway like steel beasts waiting to awaken, and the wind whispered across their wings. Cadets rushed across the yard, boots striking the pavement with the confidence and arrogance of youth. Among them walked Douglas Bader, tall, sharp-eyed, full of swagger. He was the kind of man the RAF loved and hated at the same time. Brilliant, daring, impossible to control, his instructors said. Bader doesn't fly airplanes, he wrestles them into the sky. Even at 21, he had the spirit of someone who refused to bow to gravity. 1. Talent and disobedience. Douglas strapped himself into the cockpit of a Bristol Bulldog, fingers drumming impatiently on the controls. His superior officer, squadron leader Waddling, approached with a stern look. Bader, he barked, this is a training flight. No stunts. Douglas gave a perfectly innocent smile. Of course, sir. Waddling narrowed his eyes. You say that every time. And last week you did a barrel roll over the canteen. It was a controlled demonstration, Bader protested. It was lunch hour. Douglas shrugged, tightening his harness. Waddling sighed, you're going to kill yourself one day. Bader grinned, not today. The Bulldog roared to life, wheels lifting gracefully from the runway, and within minutes, as expected, Bader ignored every instruction. He dove. He climbed. He spun into aerobatic maneuvers other pilots only attempted in their dreams. On the ground, junior officers squinted into the sun. That's Bader. It has to be. No one else flies like he's possessed. Possessed was the right word. Douglas felt more alive in the air than anywhere on Earth, but fate was waiting for him with cold, merciless patience. 2. The crash. December 14, 1931, Woodley Airfield. Douglas was invited to perform aerobatics at a flying event. It wasn't an official RAF exercise, but Bader never cared for rules. Using an aircraft entirely wrong for stunts, he rushed into a low-level maneuver. He misjudged the altitude by barely a few feet. The wing scraped the ground. A fraction of a second later, crash, wood splintered, metal twisted, engines screamed, flames erupted, the world flipped upside down, then vanished. When the rescue team arrived, they froze. The wreckage looked fatal. Somebody murmured, who was flying? The officer swallowed. Douglas Bader. They found him barely alive, both legs mangled beyond saving. At the hospital, surgeons gathered grimly. We have to amputate. One whispered, below the knees, possibly both. Another added, he'll never walk again. Certainly never fly again. But they didn't know Douglas Bader. 3. The men who said no. Days later, Bader woke up to a fog of pain. A nurse sat beside him. Mr. Bader. I'm afraid your legs. I know, Douglas whispered. His voice was steady. What will you do now? She asked softly. Douglas stared at the ceiling. Walk, he said, then fly. The nurse blinked. But, sir, you've lost. Douglas cut her off. I haven't lost anything. I've gained a challenge. Rehabilitation was torture. Every fall felt like fire, every step a war. Doctors told him to rest. He told them to bring him his prosthetics. He learned how to walk, how to climb stairs, how to run, how to dance, and finally, how to climb into a cockpit. One day, a doctor approached him, amazed. Bader, why do you push yourself so hard? Douglas tightened the straps on his artificial legs. Because the world expects me to quit, and I refuse. 4. Return to the Sky. By 1933, against all expectations, Douglas could stand firmly, walk confidently, and control his movement with astonishing precision, but the RAF had already written him off. A rejection letter arrived, unfit for duty due to double amputation. He read the words slowly, folded the paper, and smiled. Unfit. We'll see about that. He began training in secret, driving cars, riding horses, climbing ropes using only arms, strengthening his body until it bent to his will. He practiced getting into cockpits again, alone, at night, using nothing but determination and metal legs, and when the world caught fire in 1939 with the outbreak of World War II, the RAF suddenly needed every qualified pilot it could find. Douglas Bader walked into the recruitment office. The officer looked at him. You again? Me again, Douglas said, but you're ready to fly. They tested him, they pushed him, they watched him take off, maneuver, land. 1 instructor recorded, his flying ability is exceptional, perhaps superior to before the accident. Douglas smiled when he heard the report. I told you, he said. I never fell. 5. The outbreak of War B 1940, Bader was back in a squadron, number 19 squadron at Duxford, flying Spitfires. Soldiers stared at him like he was a ghost. That's the man with no legs. He flies better than all of us. How is it possible? Douglas winked at them. Less weight, old boy. I climb faster. Pilots roared with laughter. The legend of the ace with artificial legs began to spread across the RAF, but the real test was coming. The Luftwaffe was preparing to tear the skies over Britain apart, and Douglas Bader, the man who once crashed and lost everything, was about to rise as one of Britain's greatest fighter aces. Douglas Bader, Part 2, Inch 2 legs lost, sky gained, England, summer 1940. The airfield at Duxford throbbed with the heartbeat of war. Mechanics sprinted across the tarmac. Tools clanged. Engines roared in their test runs. Spitfires lined the runway like sleek predators ready to leap into the clouds above everything. The sky was no longer peaceful, it was a battlefield waiting to explode, and Douglas Bader stood in the center of it, tightening the leather straps of his artificial legs, preparing to do what no pilot had ever done before, fight the Luftwaffe without flesh and bone beneath his knees. Point 1. First kill. The squadron scrambled as radar operators called out incoming raids from across the channel. The Battle of Britain had begun. Douglas climbed into his Spitfire, strapped in with swift, practiced motions. He moved like a man whose body cooperated perfectly, even though half of it was steel. Bader, you're good to go, a mechanic shouted. Douglas smirked. I was born good to go. His Spitfire thundered forward, lifting into the blue like a bullet. Once airborne, he scanned the horizon. The radio crackled. Bandits, 10 o'clock low. Messerschmitts. Douglas tightened his grip. There they were, silver shapes gliding like sharks. Duxford leader to all aircraft, engage. Bader dove. The first Me-109 flashed beneath him. He rolled, lined up behind it, squeezed the trigger. T-A-T-T-A-T-T-A-T. The German fighter burst into flame, spiraling downward. Douglas exhaled slowly. Point 1 kill, but more were coming. Point 2. The tactician Bader quickly discovered his greatest advantage. He wasn't afraid of losing his legs, because he already had. Other pilots hesitated, pulled away from danger at the last second, feared fire, shrapnel, crashing. Bader feared nothing. He turned his disability into freedom. Gentlemen, he told his pilots, don't turn away, hit them before they hit you. Surprise is our greatest weapon. He created the big wing strategy, sending multiple squadrons together to overwhelm the enemy. Some RAF commanders hated the idea, but Bader didn't care. We're here to win, not to follow the manual. His pilots adored him for it. They followed him not because of rank, but because he flew like a demon and laughed in the face of death. Point 3. Duel over the Channel. One morning, Bader's squadron intercepted a formation of German bombers escorted by fighters. The sky turned into a storm of bullets and screaming engines. Douglas spotted a Dornier bomber breaking formation. He dove after it. His Spitfire shook violently as he fired into its engines. The bomber erupted, smoke trailing behind it as it fell into the sea. Then, shadow on his left. A Messerschmitt 109 swept in, firing. Bullets shattered Bader's canopy. Glass cut across his face. He ducked, banking hard. Not today, he muttered. The German pilot followed him in a tight spiral. Douglas pulled a maneuver no pilot missing both legs should logically have been able to do. A high G climbing turn requiring immense physical strength. His prosthetics didn't feel fatigued. He pulled harder. The 109 overshot. Bader fired a perfect burst. The enemy fighter disintegrated in midair. On the radio, his wingman shouted, Bader. Bloody brilliant shot. Douglas wiped blood from his cheek. Once more around the block. Lads. They'll be back. 4. The legend grows. By late August 1940, Douglas Bader had become a national symbol. Newspaper headlines called him the legless eagle, Britain's unbreakable ace, the man who refused gravity. Churchill himself mentioned him in speeches. Children in London drew pictures of Spitfires and wrote Bader under them. But Douglas shrugged off fame. All I do is fly, he said. Fame doesn't help in a dogfight. His kill count rose. Fighters, bombers, aces who underestimated him. People whispered, he's unstoppable. He has no weakness. He cannot be killed. But war always finds a way to strike back. Point 5. Downed over France. August 9, 1941. Douglas Bader led a mission over occupied France. He spotted enemy fighters and dove to attack, but mid-fight, disaster, his Spitfire collided with a German aircraft. The cockpit twisted violently, his prosthetic right leg jammed under the seat, smoke filled the interior. Douglas made a decision in less than a second. He grabbed the release harness, he pulled. The canopy tore away. He tried to jump, but his artificial leg remained stuck. He yelled, teeth clenched, let go. The metal joint snapped, his right leg stayed in the cockpit as he fell into the sky. Wind roared, fire rushed past him, the ground spun wildly, and then, parachute deployed, Douglas dangled in the air, one prosthetic leg dragging uselessly, the other gone completely. Below him, the fields of France rose to meet him. He landed hard, German soldiers surrounded him instantly. One officer recognized him, you are Bader. Douglas grinned, what's left of him? 6. A request to the enemy. Bader was taken to a Luftwaffe hospital. A German colonel entered with a strange expression, Herr Bader, you fly with artificial legs? Yes. You lost one in the crash. Correct. The German exchanged looks with his officers. Do you require another leg? Douglas laughed despite himself, yes. I do, actually. The colonel nodded, we shall inform the RAF. Douglas blinked, what? They will drop you a new leg. War is war, but a man deserves to stand. And so, unbelievably, the British sent a prosthetic leg in a parachute drop marked as medical supplies. The Germans retrieved it and delivered it to him. Even enemies respected Douglas Bader. Douglas Bader, Part 3, the prisoner who refused captivity. St. Omer Hospital, occupied France. Douglas Bader sat upright in bed, metal leg freshly attached, face bruised but eyes burning with the same fire he carried into every cockpit. German doctors observed him from a distance, half in awe, half in fear of this indestructible Englishman. A Luftwaffe colonel approached, Herr Bader, he said calmly, you are recovering remarkably fast. Douglas grinned, I plan to leave soon. The colonel raised an eyebrow, you mean, escape? Of course. The German sighed deeply, please don't. It will only make more work for us. Douglas winked, then catch me. 1. Escape attempt #1 Within days, Douglas began analyzing guard patrols, window heights, courtyard layouts. A young German sergeant noticed him measuring the distance with his eyes. Herr Bader, you are planning something. Douglas shrugged, I'm an RAF officer. It's my duty. One night, he tried climbing out the window using bedsheets, his prosthetic leg slipped from the wall. He fell hard, guards swarmed him, the officer in charge groaned, for God's sake, Bader. We just fixed that leg. Douglas laughed, then let me go home. Save yourself the trouble. 2. Escape attempt #2 After being moved to a different hospital, he found a weak spot in the fence near the exercise yard. He limped over, pretending to stretch, then suddenly sprinted. Guards chased him. He tripped, rolled, got back up, kept running. They finally tackled him into the dirt. One guard gasped, how can a man with no legs run faster than us? Douglas spat out grass, practice. 3. Meeting Adolf Galland. Day, a tall German officer with a charismatic grin entered the ward. He introduced himself, Adolf Galland, general of the German fighter forces. Douglas raised an eyebrow, I know the name. You shoot well. Galland shrugged modestly, you too. Then he studied Bader's legs, how on earth did you fly like this? Douglas smiled, I don't need legs to fly, only to land. The two aces, enemies in the sky, developed genuine respect. Galland even convinced the command to allow Douglas better treatment and more freedom of movement. War created monsters, but it also revealed men. 4. Colditz Castle. Eventually the Germans had had enough. Bader was transferred to Colditz Castle, the maximum security prison for the most troublesome Allied officers. The commandant greeted him, the famous Bader. Escape artist. Very clever. Douglas saluted ironically, I'll give you trouble. The commandant sighed, we know. Within days, Douglas joined other escape masterminds, British, Polish, French, Dutch. He helped devise new plans, smuggled maps, distracted guards, but the Germans knew, watch the one with no legs the closest. He's the most dangerous. Douglas became a legend even among prisoners. They said, He can't walk normally, but he'll climb a wall if he has to. 5. War ends April 1945. American tanks rolled through the gates of Colditz. Prisoners erupted in cheers. Douglas limped forward, smiling wide. A U.S. soldier shouted, "Sir, you're free." Douglas extended a hand. "No, son, now I'm back on duty." Another soldier recognized him. "Wait, aren't you the pilot with no?" "Yes," Douglas interrupted. "Can we go find an airplane, please?" Even in liberation, Bader refused rest. 6. Returned to England. When Douglas returned home, RAF pilots lined up to greet him. One young man whispered, "Sir, you fought the Luftwaffe with metal legs, then tried to escape them with metal legs, then survived Colditz with metal legs." Douglas smirked. "Metal is stronger than bone." The Air Chief Marshal stepped forward. "Douglas Bader," he said, voice thick with emotion, "your courage is unmatched. You are a symbol of everything this country stands for." Douglas nodded, humbled. "I only did my job." But everyone knew he had done far more. 7. After the war, Douglas Bader continued flying, instructing, and inspiring. He became an advocate for amputees, proving you can run, you can fly, you can fight, you can live with whatever the world leaves you. He visited hospitals, showing new amputees, this isn't the end. It's the beginning. Many cried when they met him. He'd clap them on the shoulder. "Stand up, walk. You're stronger than you think." 8. Final years. As he grew older, Douglas still carried that same spark, sharp humor, unstoppable energy, relentless optimism. When asked once, "Do you ever regret flying that day you crashed?" he laughed, "Regret? No. Without that crash, I might never have discovered who I really am." He passed away in 1982, peacefully, surrounded by those who loved and admired him. 9. The men who never fell. Today, pilots still speak his name with respect, not because he scored kills, not because he escaped captivity, but because he proved that courage is stronger than flesh, that the human spirit is stronger than war, and that a man with no legs can still fly. When new RAF pilots graduate, some still say, "Remember Douglas Bader. If he could do it, we can do anything." And somewhere in the sky, above the clouds he once ruled, the echo of his laughter still seems to ride the wind.